This is MacroVoices with hedge fund manager Eric Townsend, the free weekly financial podcast targeting professional finance, high net worth individuals, family offices, and other sophisticated investors. MacroVoices is all about the brightest minds in the world of finance and macroeconomics telling it like it is, bullish or bearish, no holds barred. Now, here are your hosts, Eric Townsend and Patrick Ceresna.
Now let's move on to Patrick's Postgame chart deck, which is titled Going Parabolic. Listeners, you'll find the download link in your Research Roundup email. Now that Research Roundup email may be delayed this week, so bear with us. It'll be out at some point on Thursday evening. If you don't have a Research Roundup email, just go to the homepage, macrovoices.com, click the red button that says Looking for the Downloads. Let's go ahead and take a look at the chart deck. You start off with a chart of the NASDAQ. What's going on?
Eric, I want to start off with the NASDAQ. Normally we talk S&P 500, but it is really worth noting how the market really has accelerated, and particularly in the last few days has really started to almost feel a little parabolic in this rise. I put the trend lines not for predictive value, but rather just to identify the slope of the rise, and really shows how the market really has just taken off on the upside. And it really is interesting to see how far this will go. I mean, there's a lot of people that have played out that melt-up scenario and saying that that's the way the equity markets were going to finish this move. And really, that is now looking to be the case. The question now is how much gas is in the tank and how far can they take it? We'll be doing the play-by-play on this, but boy, is this a chart that's accelerated to the upside. So next here on page 3, I wanted to really touch on Tesla, because this is where that real parabolic price action can be really identified. It's not that there aren't other stocks out in the market that have this type of a parabolic move, but it's the fact that it's a $1 trillion market cap company that's doing it. And this move has just been phenomenal to the upside. The bears are being squeezed out, the shorts are being knocked out, and at the same time, all those call buyers and the huge call open interest is just grabbing at all that gamma on the upside, driving this parabolic move. I mean, when you see this type of acceleration, it's a bold thing to suggest that we know what price level this will stop. Arguably, when something goes parabolic like this, it could go to 1,500, it could go to 2,000. But bottom line of what I've seen in the past with these types of patterns is that they tend to blow off in a relatively reasonable time frame. And so while how much more upside there is in the coming week or two is something that we have yet to determine, it is likely that there is going to be some sort of a short-term blow-off top and a pretty meaningful mean reversion that comes on the other side as the profit takers kick in. One of the things I'll be looking for is when will there be a material and significant spike in implied volatilities, to particularly on the right end of the curve, to truly discourage further call buying by simply making the options so expensive. It's certainly going to be something that's on my mind watching as we move forward. The last thing I wanted to touch on the equity charts was to have a quick peek at the Russell 2000. And what's particularly interesting about the small cap space is that while the S&P and NASDAQ have been generally trending all year, the small caps have been in a very tight sideways range-bound market for the entire 2021 year pretty much. And we just this week got the first technical breakout of this. And while that in itself is not a guarantee of anything, but usually when you have new highs develop this way, it draws a lot of attention, and certainly the overbought state that the market was at the start of the year has been completely unwound. It'll be really interesting to see whether or not this will mark the beginning of a new bull trend in the small caps and whether they'll participate on the upside.
Patrick, next you've got the Euro-US dollar cross and crude oil. What's on your mind?
Well, Eric, I just wanted to give an update on this euro. We were looking at it last time as the ECB announcement was coming out, and it tried to pop higher, but really in the last week and then subsequently in the post-FOMC, we continue to see U.S. dollar strength and the euro deteriorating back down to October lows. It'll be really interesting to see whether the support line holds. If it doesn't, I mean, that opens the window for the euro to head down to like 113 or 112 on the downside, and certainly that's a a pretty significant overhead resistance on the dollar index itself. And so this is such an important currency to watch in my mind. And just touching on that crude oil chart, really what I wanted to highlight was simply that pop and drop that occurred today in that post-OPEC meeting period, with the fact that it tried to rally and then gave it back, really does increase the likelihood that we are now in the midst of some sort of mean reverting correction. And that doesn't in itself make crude oil bearish, but simply the likelihood now that it's going to consolidate some of this prior bull advance is certainly on the table. What I suspect is that this should be well defended during pullbacks, and I'm not looking for anything extraordinarily deep, but certainly this could be a prolonged multi-week process of backfilling and consolidation before the next buying opportunity emerges.
And listeners, you can get Patrick's chart decks every single day with a free trial of Patrick's service, Big Picture Trading. You find the information at bigpicturetrading.com or on page 7 of the slide deck.
That concludes this edition of MacroVoices. Be sure to tune in each week to hear feature interviews with the brightest minds in finance and macroeconomics. MacroVoices is made possible by sponsorship from BigPictureTrading.com, the Internet's premier source of online education for traders. Please visit BigPictureTrading.com for more information. Please register your free account at MacroVoices.com. Once registered, you'll receive our free weekly Research Roundup email containing links to supporting documents from our featured guests and the very best free financial content our volunteer research team could find on the internet each week. You'll also gain access to our free listener discussion forums and research library. And the more registered users we have, the more we'll be able to recruit high-profile feature interview guests for future programs. So please register your free account today at macrovoices.com if you haven't already. You can subscribe to MacroVoices on iTunes to have MacroVoices automatically delivered to your mobile device each week free of charge. You can email questions for the program to mailbag@macrovoices.com, and we'll answer your questions on the air from time to time in our mailbag segment. MacroVoices is presented for informational and entertainment purposes only. The information presented on MacroVoices should not be construed as investment advice. Always consult a licensed investment professional before making investment decisions. The views and opinions expressed on MacroVoices are those of the participants and do not necessarily reflect those of the show's hosts or sponsors. MacroVoices, its producers, sponsors, and hosts Eric Townsend and Patrick Ceresna shall not be liable for losses resulting from investment decisions based on information or viewpoints presented on MacroVoices. MacroVoices is made possible by sponsorship from BigPictureTrading.com and by funding from Fourth Turning Capital Management, LLC. For more information, visit MacroVoices.com.